the streets got a lot to say. The streets are talking, and I want you guys to listen to this clip because we talked a little bit about who pays for a date, but there's been a lot of conversation around this whole exchange of goods and services, Miss Teeny might call it. So we're going to take a listen to a clip, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
So you're highly feminist.
Yes.
You consider yourself a independent woman.
Yes.
Who do you think on a first date should pay?
I would say the man.
How do you reconcile being a feminist, claiming to be an independent woman, but still needing to have the man take the lead and pay for the first date?
Yeah, that is fair. I guess it comes down, well, yeah.
You cannot recoil at the very idea of gender roles, but then expect men to pay, because men paying is a gender role. So you can't just throw out and discard all the gender roles that have to do with you, but then expect the man to still abide by every gender role that applies to him.
No, yeah.
Okay, I think this whole idea of who should pay, and I've been seeing this chatter on these here internets and hearing, what different people offer. And I honestly think it's a rather sad conversation because I wish we would take it off the table and just talk about what is it you like about this person? How do you get to know this person? Because everything doesn't cost money. Look, in Washington, D.C. and in New York City, two cities I split my time between, there are so many things. Let's go for a walk in Central Park. Let's go sit at Fort Greene and have a picnic. Let's go. All the museums that are here. In D.C., there are all the Smithsonians. There are so many things that we can do. Even if you have money or if you don't, but it's really about the time. So when I hear, different women going viral, placing such value on somebody's net worth or somebody's value on how much money they're spending on a date, I just think it erodes us as a community. It erodes what we're trying to build with each other, And so I wonder, especially from you, Miss Teeny, how has dating changed over the years when it comes to these kinds of things, from sex to who pays to all of it in your decades of life?
Well, that casual sex, one young person told me, I invited my son, he was like, Mom, you don't have to be the girlfriend to have sex. You can meet somebody at a party and you just have sex because you're having a good time.
Right.
And I was like, my lip dropped. I was like, what? You mean to tell me you don't have a relationship? You just meet the person, and if you're having a good time, you just have sex? He said, yeah. I was like, oh my God, that's such a difference in when I was growing up. You just didn't do things like that. I just think that their morals are so different, and to do things like that. But then what can you do? That's what's happening. This is the new generation. This is how they view things, But I feel that it's a lot of the parents' fault because you need to sit. But back in the day, they didn't tell you that if you have sex, you're going to get pregnant. If the boys touch you, you can get pregnant. They don't explain. The older generation did not explain sexual things to their children. But this new coming generation, the way that the sex thing is going, is that they have not been taught. They have not had a conversation with their father and their mother. But nowadays they don't have a two-parenting household that needs to just come out and tell you what is going on with sex. You need to explain that. And these kids, they know about sex and they're having sex at 10 and 12 years old.
Wow.
They're really having sex. Well, my grandson told me, he told my sister he had 2 girlfriends in his class. She said, well, how you manage to have 2 girlfriends? He said, how do you do that? She said, well, the other grandmother don't show up. I talked to that one.
Wow.
And then when the other grandmother show up, I talked to that. I was like, he's only 7 years old and already he know how to play the game.
Yeah. So Ms. Teeny, when it comes to dating, when do you think it is appropriate to have sex?
First, you have to get to know the person and know when you want to have sex. It's up to you whether or not you want sex. Then when you decide, you let that person know that you're ready. And to make sure that you're safe, you make sure that that person has had its AIDS test and you want to see it. You know, and you want to know if they're sexing other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's what you want.
Yeah.
You know, because this is yours
Exactly.
to do what you want.
What was it always like that? Like when you were younger, do you think women had that same agency? Or did men have more control over when sex took place?
I believe that the women that back in the day, they're the ones that could
Always.
make the decision whether or not they're ready to have sex with them. Because first you really have to get to know that person
Mm-hmm.
before you just, and then you can tell whether the relationship is sexual or not, the way the man will behave around you. You can actually tell. And that makes you decide whether you want to or not. If you're not ready and he's all over you, you know what I mean? That, to me, it means that this is a sexual relationship.
Oh, is there something for you personally? Like, is there a point in when you meet somebody, it's like, all right, do you have a time limit? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I have a time limit.
What's your time limit?
Give him about 6 months.
Don't have sex with him for 6 months.
Yep. When you're older, you know, you're not really, as you grow older, as old as I am, a museum, right? Your sexual desires are not the same, you know? So that, and his is not either, if it's near your age or around your age. It's not that much of a sexual thing. The thing is companionship. You love men. I love men. So I like men being around me, whether we doing the nasty or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want to say something like that.
Yeah, you're fine. Speak freely. Yeah, definitely.
It's more companionship and what he contributes to your relationship. You know, women need help. You know, he could be the person like well, I ain't gonna say that. Anyway, this boyfriend is like, he's a construction, what do you call it? A contractor. And I love the talent and the skills and the way that he takes care of me. You know, my house and everything. I love that part of him. And then I date someone, there can be an accountant or something that helps me. These become your boyfriends. Older ladies are not dating unless they're meeting, you know, they're not meeting men on media. You know, you're meeting men through introductions from other people. And that's how I choose date. And I like a relationship, whether it's sex or whether it's I like what they can do for me and I can do for them.
It's companionship.
Companionship is more
intimacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not always physical.
And you know, a friend you can talk to, you can talk about people, you can do whatever, you know. And then you have to know how he treats people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like I said before, you have to meet the family of that person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially the mom, because that's a man's first girlfriend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the mommy.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to ask you about some lingo, because you said cock blocking earlier. And there are so many terms nowadays that are used that I'm just curious, like what the language was like back in the day. Because you hear people
that was the language.
sugar daddy.
You know, the language is, the cock blocking is like, you won't be they keep you from getting whatever you need.
Yeah, we know what cock blocking
by
means.
you know, you having all these women, or letting them all know about your dates and what you're doing and what have you.
Well, what about like so there are terms that people use for women or people who they would describe as promiscuous, and so people use the term hoe, people use the word trick, all these things.
Yeah,
that I
well,
think
that's
are,
what we did back in the
misogynist.
days. We used to say
What
slangs
were
like
the words?
What
would you call a promiscuous woman?
Hoe.
Yeah. So hoe is timeless, as we
Yeah,
have
my
learned
grandma
here
used to
across
say hoe.
generations.
Yeah.
Hoe is timeless.